Hello, Abnormal Investigations. I hope everybody's doing well. It has been a busy day today, but I have another encounter for you guys that I would like to drop, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and let's just jump into this one. It's a gentleman that believes he had an encounter with a skinwalker in Colorado. So, what do you all think about skinwalkers? Let me know at the end of this if you think that's what he encountered or if you think it was something different. He says, I went out to camp in Colorado, and then this man, he just showed up. He didn't give any greetings, he wasn't friendly. He just showed up. He looked at me and said, Hello there. Mind if I join you? It was a silent, unsettling appearance out of the darkness. I didn't know this man. And why would he walk over by my tent when he has all that extra room out there to go put it up? It's kind of weird to me, but hell, I didn't know that, so I told him welcome and I hope that he enjoyed his time. He had an unsettling appearance. He was kind of a odd looking man, but nonetheless, I was sure he was there to enjoy the woods same as I was. He was a weird man from the jump. He pitched his tent a little too close to mine. And I mean, like, pretty close. A dark shape against the even darker backdrop. I tried to ignore the shivers. This man was really freaking me out. But then I got to thinking maybe he was just afraid and wanted a companion close by. I don't know. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. The first night was when the real dread had set in. It wasn't human. Not really. I heard this yelling. It started out around midnight. It wasn't a bark, not a howl, but a frantic, I don't know, yell. The kind of clawed at you. It was a dog, sure, but a dog in absolute terror or pain. I fumbled for my flashlight. I unzipped my tent, the flap, and pulled it back, peering out into the moonless night. I could see his tent because, yep, it was right beside me. His tent was a little blacker than mine. It was a darker tent, but inside I could see the shadow. My beam wasn't needed. The pale moonlight, with his small light he had inside, was enough that I could see the shadow of him in the tent. A lot of you know that if you're in a tent and you have a small light, you can see your shadow really well. The shadow was huge, though. It was monstrous. It may be distorted, I don't know, projected against the thin nylon wall, but the body was not, I don't know, maybe normal. I will say normal for now. The outline of the man sitting upright in his tent, but there was something off. The head was off. The head was all wrong. It was too big, too elongated. A massive dog-like head silhouetted against the dim light within his tent. He moved, shifting his weight, and the shadow moved with him. I tried to tell myself it was a mask, but what the hell would he be doing putting a mask on by himself out here in the middle of the woods? I was certain an oversized, grotesque thing he was wearing in the confines of his own tent. It had to be. None of my business, right? So the dog's yelling continued, raw and desperate. I watched, frozen, as a huge shadow mask of the dog's head tilted, listening to the desperate cries outside. The ears even perked up. Now that would be an expensive mask. Then the man's shadow hand reached out, not toward the tent flap, not toward the source of the noise. It reached out to the ground inside his tent and slowly, deliberately pulled something toward him. The shadow blurred for a moment, and I could swear I saw the glint of metal. The yelling outside stopped abruptly, replaced by a strange wet sound that I couldn't place. The man's shadow didn't move for the rest of the night. He just sat there. And I just sat there watching. as he sat there in the dog mask, which honestly freaked the shit out of me. So I sat there and I watched him, and I dared not breathe. I fell asleep. The first night's horror had left me freaked out and jumpy at every snap of the twig. Now, the second day, the sun rose. The warm from the sun had hit in the air. It was nice. He emerged from his tent also in mid morning. He was a hulking figure of a man, that was for sure. That confirmed the scale of the shadow I'd seen. This man was really big. I didn't get a good chance to look at him at the first time because it was dark, but he wore a heavy wool coat, the collar turned up, obscuring his face initially, but then he turned toward me. He wasn't wearing the mask, not then. His real face was gaunt, with eyes that were too bright and a mouth that was thin. He watched me all day like he was staring at me. I tried to focus on my line in the water to see if I was getting a bite on anything but him. But I felt him staring at me. Every time I dared glance in his direction, he was staring right back, and a slow, weird smile would spread across his face. It was the smile of something that had all the time in the world, that knew it had me trapped. Or that's how I felt, anyways. Night fell again, thicker and faster this time. I was in my tent before the last traces of the sun had vanished, flashlight in hand, and a small cheap knife I kept for cutting fishing line, my only defense. The silence that night was different. It wasn't the peaceful quiet of the wild. I lay in my sleeping bag, afraid. Then I heard it, a slow, deliberate step. Then another. They weren't the heavy, normal footsteps of a man. They were softer almost, like padded, like a dog. They were circling my tent. The sound of soft movement on the pine needles continued. A slow, methodical circle around my tent. I held my breath, listening. The cheap knife slicked in my sweaty hand. He stopped. At the front of my tent, I could see the shadow through the thin fabric, a hulking, unnatural mass that blocked out even the faint starlight. There was a heavy smell that was not human, a rank, kind of an earthy scent mixed in with something metallic. Then the jingle of metal and the slow, deliberate pull on my tent's main zipper to the front. I screamed a raw, terrified sound, and I lunged forward, knife extended, slamming it against the front of the tent, trying to catch it in the hand with all my might. The zipper stopped, the shadow recoiled, pulling back from the door. A slow growl, a sound that did not belong to any human I'd ever heard. It was bestial. The steps retreated faster, and they were running back toward his tent. I packed my gear at daybreak the next day and left as soon as the sun was up. I didn't hang around to see if he left his tent or not. I truly believe the man was a skinwalker, and I believe he was hunting me, and I believe that if I would have stayed that third night, I wouldn't be writing you this story. Why did he pick me? I hasn't done anything to anybody. I was just out enjoying a nice fishing trip alone. I was nice to him. I was never mean to him. But yet I felt he was hunting me. Why would they do this? You know, it goes down to they're inherently evil, that these beings do not like us. I believe that they are witchcraft. Where does witchcraft come? It comes from the enemy. I believe it comes from Satan. They are evil. And yeah, you probably were something that he was hunting. Was he a skinwalker? Hard to tell if he was wearing a mask or not. It would seem weird that he was sitting in his tent in a mask all night and his ears and all moving on the mask. It almost sounds like it was flesh and blood and he had maybe transformed. I'm not sure. What do you all think? Let me know. This one here is pretty wild, but I figured y'all would really enjoy it. Let me know what y'all think on this one. Thank you for listening. And until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one.